Alright, welcome back to my channel. Today, just continuing with the journal project. What I'm going to do today is dye. First coat of dye, I'm using the 5-Lings USMC Black. What I'm going to do is anything that's large, I'm not going to use a dauber like I would with smaller projects. I'm just going to use just a wet sponge. Get some really good coverage on there. Of course, you don't want it soaking wet. You want to squeeze some of the excess off. Apparently got a little too much of the excess off. Alright. I've not done a whole lot of the sponge dyeing, so still a little bit of a learning curve with it.
And can you explain why it's not best to use a dauber on large projects?
That is just because it's really hard to get uniform coverage. And the other voice in the background is my youngin'. She is hanging out with me today. She is working on a project herself, which we'll see here in just a second. Her belt for her band class. She's in her middle school band. So what we did was we took just plain belt and we took a bunch of stamps of musical notes, and she actually did all the work so far. I've done nothing to it. Oops.
Remember, take all the extra off the sponge before you use it. Like, I think that's a piece of tape.
Well, that piece of tape was on my glove.
Ah.
I should have tried to get a close-up before I started dyeing the neat's foot oil that I put on there the other day. Was looking really good. It darkened it just a little tiny bit, but I actually ended up letting it soak longer than 24 hours. I let it soak for about 3 days. It wasn't wholly by choice. I was working my night shift job where I work 12-hour night shifts, so you know, pretty much about all I do when I work is work and sleep. Alright, that is looking really nice.
Sure does.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set this aside, let that dry for at least a couple hours. I would like to get a second coat on today, and I'm going to try to be really, really careful. There we go. Just set that to the side. You got to hand me your belt, baby. Then once it dries, I'm just going to take cloth or paper towels, rub all the excess dye off the surface. I'm going to put a second coat on and let that dry.
And what we've seen is really good to use old shirts. Old shirts that are not very good.
Yeah, they work good. You can see I've got a little setup laid out here. I've got this right here. It just kind of helps
Prevent dye from seeping into the wood.
Yeah, and then I've got some trash bags underneath that. Also just as a safeguard to, make sure it doesn't get through my table and onto the leather I have stored down there.
Yep.
Again, Dyer's Eve Leather, DYERSEVELEATHER. And I'm on Etsy. We're at gmail.com if you have any questions or comments. Thank you very much.
Okay.
All right, welcome back to part 2 of the dyeing. I said I was going to re-dye it and then put the gel antique on, but the first coat took really, really well. So I'm actually just going to go ahead and do the gel antique. Best thing I found for doing this is the little foam or fuzzy pads. You definitely want to use some gloves on this. I've yet to actually do this without getting it all over the place.
Yeah. And remember, make sure you check your gloves before you start dyeing to make sure it doesn't have holes in it. And don't use tape. Someone learned that the hard way earlier.
Alright, there, peanut gallery.
And also we have a cat down here with us.
Yeah, that stuff is really, really thick.
Yeah.
I think it's thicker than normal.
Did you forget to shake it up early?
No, you sit there and watch me shake it up, baby.
Sure you didn't give enough time to shake up?
That's looking really, really nice. Put just a touch more on for this one edge here.
Yeah. Make sure you're extra careful about how much you put on. Because you do not want to put on too much.
Well, the good thing with this actually is it spreads.
Yeah.
So, you know, you can kind of just keep spreading it.
But if you put it, but if it blotches too much in one area, it will make it not look as good. Crowley! Crowley, quit messing with the bags. Crowley!
Oh, yeah, that looks good. One of the big things with this, because you're doing so much rubbing on it, is make sure it doesn't shift around, or what will happen is your edges will curl up, and you end up getting it on the underside. So that's nice and clean. That looks pretty good. So yeah, I think we're in pretty good shape here.
Oh yeah, watch out for, if you guys have cats at home, watch out for your cats.
Yeah, so let me drop my gloves, make sure I don't get anything on my iPad. What I'm going to do is try to pick this up, and I'm going to shift it just a little. And what I'm going to do is pick that up and see if I can really get really show some of the graining on here. I don't know if it'll work or not. Yeah, there we go. You can see that really nice graining and scarring on there. That's going to be a very, very pretty project.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for watching, and be back with you soon.